Hi everyone, welcome back to Colouring with Kate. Thank you for joining me today. So I hope you're all well, and so in this video what I want to do is just share my sort of limited experience with stencils. I just recently got into using stencils. I've had them from before when I did art journaling, but I purchased some more recently for colouring books. So I'm going to start off by just saying that I'm no expert with any of this art stuff. I just share what I do, and if some of you find it useful, then you know, I'm happy, that's good. So I'm going to start off with just showing you that some of the types of stencils. These are not all the stencils that I have. Just bring you out a little bit. They're not all the stencils that I have. I just picked out a few examples. So there's these which are the, you know, the die cutting version. So I think I saw this on Lucy's channel. Lucy Just Adds Colour, and it is the cloud one. So it's a metal die. I mean, I do have a die cutting machine as well from my crafting days, but yeah, you can use this and, you know, use distress inks to sort of make cloud-like shapes with it. So yeah, I do need to store this in a better way, so because it is actually falls out of here. So yeah, so that's metal die cutting stencils. So any of your the die cuts like this, you could use those as stencils as well, so they don't always have to be these plastic versions. And actually that's an idea that I need to sort of implement as well, because I've got a few of these die cut stencil types as well. So that's that one. And then you've got individual elements which you could add to pages, providing that the size of each of your individual images is, you know, suitable. So these are a few. This is like a bird themed one, so you could have silhouette birds like that, or, well, I guess they'll all be silhouettes, but you know, different sort of styles of it that you can have. Other individual elements that you could have, maybe as using as a background, such as this would be a nice background one for a snowy scene, you know, particularly during, you know, November, December, January times. So a lovely snowflake one. Here is another individual elements. You can see I've been naughty and not cleaned my stencil. Incidentally, a good way to clean stencils is to use baby wipes. So these when I used to use they come off quite easily, can you see there? So when I used to do quite a lot of stamping, that's why from art journaling I've still got the stamping stuff, and I got the baby wipes. You can see it comes off very, very easily. It comes off your skin as well, and as it's baby wipes, they're, you know, not toxic, or they're not going to damage your skin or anything. So yeah, these are individual elements, and I have actually used these as an example in one of my books. I'll just show you, might as well show you now. So for example, this is the stencil that I used here, there, and I think I used my, which I'm going to demonstrate as well, but I used my silky crayons. The background is distress inks, if I remember correctly. So the greenish background is distress inks, and then I used this individual stencil piece, like the bird's nest, can you see there, and some other features, because this sort of page reminds me of spring, summer, so you know, that sort of themed stuff. So yeah, that's an example of that. Some more examples I'll show you. There's this one, again, individual elements like flowers, and you can decide that you might only want this flower and that flower, so there's that. Then you've got individual elements, you know, where they're just patterns. So I guess if you had a mandala and then you wanted to just add something to the background, if there was a fair amount of a background, then you could add this. Now where did I did have an example of this, let me just see. Individual elements, try to find it now, that's just the problem. I did use these, I just cannot remember where I used, oh, I know where I used them, but I haven't brought that book up with me. But I used them in that, is the Journey into the Forest by Hannah Carlson, something like that. It's the New Forest book, you know, with the green cover. And I did bugs. There were 3 bugs and insects basically, and I put these into the background. So those are those, and then this fireworks one, I should take it out. Well, you can see it here actually at the back. I'll take it out so you can get a good look at it. So yes, we've got this. I used with stars, and it looks quite fireworky, or you know, like confetti type thing, and then the fireworks as well for a background. And I'll show you, I think I've got a picture of this on, I used that in the Johanna Basford book, and it was, I think I put the picture, it was a buddy colour with Helena from the Colouring Zone. And let me just, there it is, right, so I'm going to show you this. There it is. So what I did is I used the stencil on here for background, so you can see on a black acrylic background as well, and I'll sort of explain how I did it later on, hopefully. And then these are just waves. So these are like elements that you could use, say, for a sort of an ocean, you know, sea type picture, you know, where the theme is, that sort of thing. I'm not sure, someone asked me where I got this sort of mountain stencil from, or waves on the other side. I really cannot remember, because this is one of the earliest stencils I've ever purchased, but it must be, not must be, but it's likely to be from Amazon. And then you've got pattern stencils, so you've got this. You could use it to add borders to your pages, that could work. And then you've got repeating pattern stencils. This would be great for steampunk pages. Another wave type one, in fact, I've used this one to show you. Where are we? There, this one. So this was one of my pages for May, so I used that here as like, because of the C inside the crowns, I thought that I'd use that stencil, and then I used this stencil here called Dutch Doobadoo here to make it look like, you know, bubbles a little bit, and so I used that there. Again, I think I used my gel crayons for that. So yeah, so I've been recently using, like, getting into using stencils and things. I haven't used them a great deal. It's only been like maybe 2.5, 3 weeks that I've been using them. Again, repeating patterns, which I'll show you an example of this repeating pattern one as well in a picture. So this is from Circle of Life, and then I've got, I sort of put that in there, this stencil. I just used that just to add a little bit more, you know, interest and a bit more to the page, so use that in there. Another repeating pattern. Where do I purchase these stencils from? Mainly from Amazon. There are a lot of other crafty online places. So this one is I'm really looking forward to using this one actually, and I'll show you what page I'm thinking of using it. You know, the beehive one, or the honeycomb, however you want to say it, because in Johanna Basford's there's this bee page. So what my idea is to use this stencil here, and I'll tell you how I think I'd probably use it in a little while. But I'll just quickly show you some examples. So these are the Delusions large stencils, actually huge. So these are your repeating patterns. So there's a great variety of different stencils, and you know, you can just add to your collection, and it just gives your pages a little bit extra, makes them more unique looking. So that's the types of stencils, examples of types of stencils. My next thing to go to is what kind of media could you use these stencils with. So I haven't actually, I've only had pages that I've only made pages, or completed pages should I say, using distress inks with my stencils. That's one way. Use a distress oxide as well, and then, you know, these are just some Spectrum Noir ones which are really nice. The only issue is I find that these do go through a little bit, so I would only use these on single sided pages. So this is the Harmony by Spectrum Noir water reactive dies. I've only got a few of these, and then yeah, use them with the usual tools that I'd use them with, and then obviously I've got these as well as tools in various shapes. Then there's these finger sort of, I don't know, not blending type things, but you can use it with the stencils. I suppose they are for blending or whatever. Again, they're from Amazon. I'm not sure what their name is. So distress inks is one thing to use them with. The second thing, of course, that I have been using my stencils with is the Silky Crayons gel crayons. Of course, these are from Amazon as well. So this is probably one of the main things that I use it with. What I haven't tried, but I'm going to try in this video, it might go wrong, it might go right, but we'll see. Soft pastels. So these are the pan pastels, and I will use a pan pastel type tool, so anything that works with it basically. So there's that. And then the last thing I suppose you could use them with, which I have not tried, and I'm a bit fearful that it's going to be quite messy, are paints. So for example, you could use acrylic paints, you could use kids poster paints, but I haven't got any poster paints, so if this works then I might purchase some, but we'll see, because it is a bit messy, so I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. And then you've got this yeah, you could just, well, that's just a Craft Twinkles brush on glitter paint, so we'll see what we can do with that. So those are the four main things that I think are possibilities of using your stencils with, but the ones that I'm going to mainly focus on that I have tried before is the distress inks and the gel crayons. I haven't really tried soft pan pastels, but I'll try it, and I might try the paints, but I know it's going to be a big mess, but we'll see. So that's that. Now the other thing is, one of the issues we might have is the stencil's going to move out of place. So you could use something like this, which is by Crafter's Companion, and it's called Stick and Spray. Spray, stick, stamp. So you could, it says designed for use with unmounted rubber stamps and much more. So you can use it with stencil. So it's a repositionable adhesive, and you just spray it, shake it, and then spray it onto your stencil and stick it down, and then use it, and then you can take it off because it's not permanent, of course. So what I'm going to do now, I've mentioned that baby wipes are really good to clean your hands and mess and your stencils and stuff. I'm also going to use a Caran d'Ache board, and I'll show you that in a second. So how can we use it? So I've got a bit of paper here. Yeah, let's start off with, I'll use that one for paint actually, the bottom one, but let's use this for now. So let's check out, got stuff everywhere, my table's not big enough really. So let me use this one, the steampunk one, because I do really like steampunk stuff. And let's just think that we're going to do a border. Now I can use the stick and spray. Shall I use it? I might not bother, but you know, because I'm just going to sort of demonstrate it, I guess. Right, so I've got this distress ink. Shall I bring you in a little bit closer like that? Okay, so yeah, there's the Peacock Feathers distress ink. Take it off. And then we've got the blending tool, and I just do this with it, you know, just get some on it there, and I'm going to just hold my stencil down and just gently, I'm always afraid of things going wrong, you know, on camera, because I'm a bit like Mrs. Bean sometimes. I'm not, you know, I'll admit to you that I am. And then you can use a different colour if you want, holding the stencil in place. So obviously with one hand, get a bit of that on, get a bit of the pigment on. And you know, you can you can vary the pressure, so you can put a lot on and then maybe just do it lighter so it fades into the white of the paper and go over the bits that you want it to go over. So yeah, there we go. Of course you need to think about, you know, carefully. I'm not doing it carefully at the moment, I'm just demonstrating it. The edges of the stencil you don't want to go across because it will cause a line to be placed there. So that's one way. I'm going to show you maybe using it with, I don't know, should we use a different stencil? Let's get this, clean it. Even if your stencils get dirty, you know, I'll put it away later. It's okay. You can still use it as you normally would use it. Let's do these flowers and choose a flower that we want. Say if you want to have, I've actually got a little bit there. That's another thing to be careful of actually. You know, when you move your stencil, excuse me, when you move your stencil, you've got to make sure that you're not transferring like I did there. So you've got to be ultra careful and make sure you pick it up so that, you know, you're not transferring from the bottom. So yeah, something that, you know, if I were doing my page I would be very much more careful. Right, let's use this Harmony one now. So I'm going to use, say if you want a smaller area, so say if I just want this flower here, so bring it in a little bit, and hopefully I haven't got anything on this here. We haven't, right? So I'm just going to get my smallest brush there, hold my stencil in place, again you can use a variation of colour here if you want. Just going to fade it out. And then I might even, I know I haven't wiped off my brush much, but I've taken much of the colour off, so should be okay. So yeah, you can make it as dark as you want to or as light as you want to. I suppose if you work into circular motions as well, we'll see how we go. So yeah, and pick that up like that so that I'm not transferring it elsewhere. So there you go. So that looks fairly decent. I think that came off because I was cleaning it on top of it. So the idea is not to clean your stencil on top of your page, of course, which I wouldn't normally do. I'm more careful than that. So you can see that it does come out. Can you see I'm just putting it on some kitchen towel now, so we're alright. Okay, so there we go. So yeah, that's another tool that many of us colorists do have, that have distress inks that you could actually use. Just going to wipe that off. The other way that I suppose you could use it, let's use another stencil. Show you a pattern one. Actually, I won't show you that one, I'll show you one that I haven't made. So like this one here. So this time I'm going to use this and see how that works. So let's use a Distress Oxide this time. So I've got this one here. I'm just going to place that onto there. I hold it in my finger like that. And then just go through it like that. So there we go. So it makes a nice pattern actually, I like that. And clean that off. So that's another way to use it. So yeah, any tools that work basically. There we go, that's it. I shall clean up that mess later. So that's that. Now, so that's the distress inks and how you could just use them with your stencils. Nothing like, you know, groundbreaking there. The other way is obviously using, the way that I like using them as well, is using the silky crayon. So I'll just bring you out a little bit, or a lot. And say we're going to use, should we use, don't know, red, pick out this orange, and maybe this yellow here. Right, so what I will do, shall I choose a stencil? I don't know what to choose now. It doesn't really matter what stencil I use. Let's use the last one that I used. So basically what I do is I get my Caran d'Ache board, bring in a little bit, there we go, and then I just place my, on the rough side, place some of my crayon on there. It's a beautiful day today, absolutely gorgeous, so nice, so nice. The sun just makes you so happy. And then I'm going to use this one, which is the brush type, you know, the foundation brush type things. And then all I do is I just sort of take the colour from the board onto the actual brush, and then I just add it, basically. With one hand it's a little bit more difficult to do, but it's possible. And then a bit of the yellow as well. And I often don't clean the brush really afterwards, you know, after each type of colour. You can if you want, but they're quite close in colour family type. So there we go. So I think the gel crayons work really, really well, you know, with this sort of technique. So that's another way to use them. Show you again. So yeah, really fun to use. And you can add wherever you like. And of course, if you want to make sure you only go over a smaller area, just make sure that's as clean as I can get it. Then use a smaller brush, you know, if you need to be a bit more precise and only get a little bit through like that, then you can be a little bit more precise. So yeah, that's pretty much how I use the gel crayons at the moment with my stencils. And I'm just going to clean this off again. The gel crayons come off really well with a baby wipe, really well. And also the board, I just used a gel crayon for that, and you can see, look, it comes off really well as well. There you go. So that's that. Now, those are the ways to sort of use, you know, your Distress inks and your gel crayons, you know, with your stencils. The other thing I was going to say is that that is when you've got the background shape. So whatever the shape of the stencil was, you get in the background shape. The other way that I use them is I'll do this, and then what I'll do is let me see. Say if I should have got this prepared, but clearly I didn't. Say if you want to sort of, because I wouldn't use direct like paint, watercolour paint on through a stencil, because I think I'll make a big mess. I did try it once and it made a big mess. So the way I do it is, well, the way I have been doing it is I'll use this and use my stencils to make the shape on the paper like this, and then say if I want metallic paint on top, then I just use that as a guideline to use my brush with the paint. So for example, if I show you again the fireworks stencil that I used in Johanna Basford's book here, that's what I did here. I used the stencil with gel crayons, and I got the shapes of each of these stencil patterns, and then I went back over it using the metallic paint. So I didn't use the watercolour paint directly with the stencil because I thought it would seep through, and it made, you know, it would have made more of a mess. I mean, you could try it, see if it works for you, but that's definitely not the way that like would, you know, works for me. So yeah, supposed to keep this on here, you know, to sort of thicken up for longer, but this is just to show you. So what I'd do is I'd go in with the paint and say I wanted this flower in actual paint. Then I'd just use the shape and go over it. Then I'd know which parts, you know, to go over. And I could just go over it like this. And that's how I did the background for the fireworks. Pretty much, that's like it. So you could just use the stencil like this and leave it as it is, or you could go over it with other media, like metallic paint or anything else really that you can think of. So that's that. And then the last way would be that you could, I'll just show you this. This is my idea for the Johanna Basford B page. Use it as a background, but because this is quite large, so I'll just move that around. Because this is so large, now I can't find a pencil, but what you could do, actually hang on, let me just got a little bit of a pencil here. Right, so what you could do is use your stencil and make it as an outline. So like this. So instead of doing the filling in the pattern, you know, with distress ink or gel crayon, you could just go, oops, you've got to press down, make sure you're going through it like that. You could just use the stencil to go around and make an outline. Now with big stencils like this, that's you know, really possible. So what you could do is make the outline. I hope you can see that. There. Right, sorry, should have brought you in closer. So as you go around it like that, once you've got your outline, you can colour that in how you like. So I would probably use coloured pencil or, you know, metallic paint or whatever. So you can use your stencil as just as an outline and get and sort of colouring the actual shape that you've gone round. So yeah, that's the ways, the three main ways that you could use it. Either like this, straight on with your distress ink and leave it be, or use it as a guideline so you can put other media on top that's a bit more messy, so like metallic paint, and go over it so that you've got the metallic paint or whatever else that you want to put on it, or use your stencil as an outline and then colour it in or do whatever you want with it and fill it in how you want to fill it in. So that's that. Now my final section of this video, which has basically been like a little whistle tour in a way, is using pan pastel. Now I haven't really tried this, so this could go horribly wrong, but if it does, it does, you know. It's all about experimenting in art as well. And so I've got my lovely pan pastels. I think these are all sort of glittery ones here, so I'm just going to use the purple one. And then you could just, I mean, again, you can use a stick and spray so you're a bit more precise, and you can just fill it in, I guess, with your pan pastel or pastel dust if you're using, you know, the ones that look like chalks, the stick versions, I guess you could call them. Yeah, maybe should have brought you in a bit closer, but there you go. So yeah, it's quite relaxing using a stencil. And then like I say, if you want to make sure the stencil doesn't move, use the stick and spray from Crafter's Companion, which is available on Amazon as well as from Crafter's Companion. So there we go. That's a little bit messier because obviously soft pastel moves a fair bit, but what you could do, I mean, it's really easy to erase soft pastel or pan pastel, so you could just get rid of the bits that you don't want, I guess. Right, so now you can see it's quite shimmery as well because that's the type of pastel it is. So I'm going to close that. And now the last bit that I haven't experimented with, which could go very wrong, is paint. But before we try that, let's try this. Right, so I've not ever tried this before, so like I say, this could be wrong, but I've got a brayer here, and then I've got this stamp acrylic block, and I just want to try this and see what happens. Like I say, it could go wrong, which it might do, but I'm going to take another baby wipe on, and actually I've got a baby wipe here that'll suffice, I guess. Right, okay, so I'm going to just put that onto the ink pad, onto the block, and then use the brayer, and then just, nah, it doesn't work, nah, no, yeah, what a mess. But I just thought I wanted to try it. I guess it might work with paint. This may be too thin as a medium, so I'm just going to clean that, or maybe I didn't have enough on, we'll see. I guess you could use a brush to get it on, but yeah, that didn't work too well, did it? Oh well, at least we know, or at least I know as well, that it doesn't matter. You're better off using it with you know, your usual tools, I guess. Okay, so what else am I going to try? Again, this might not work particularly well, but I'm going to put the paint on this acrylic block because it might be easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shake up this Deco Art paint and then put a little bit on there. I don't know if I've got, remember I haven't done this before, I haven't tried it, so if it goes wrong, I'm going to get a bit of this sponge, which is brand new, and I'm just going to get a bit on the sponge like this, and then see if, I guess it will work with poster paints and stuff, and dab it on. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm really brave to do this in my books, but I might try it on a PDF page. Right, carefully take the stencil off. Yeah, that works fairly good, I think. Actually not bad at all. So yeah, good work with a sponge, I think, and then going into the stencil like that. Right, anything else I can tell you? Let's see, I think I've gone through everything that I wanted to go through. I'm just going to show you my examples of books once again, just so that you've got it. Well, not got it, but you know, so that you just can see the possible uses of stencils. I mean, I have gone through the bits, so let's just show you. So here, used a pattern stencil around. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, I'm just going to show you the books where I have used stencils. So you've seen this one already a little bit big at the start. So this is just a straightforward, simple, you know, gel crayon or distress ink over it. Is there anything else that I've got in here? I am not sure. I'm not sure I've got anything else in there. Nope. Right, what else have I got? So I showed you the Johanna Basford one. There it is again. So this is where I have used the gel crayon to give the shape of the objects, and then I've gone in with the metallic paint and, you know, sort of just coloured it on top. Anything else? Now this page here that I've just done in black acrylic, I'm going to try to use pan pastel using stencil, so hopefully you'll see that at the end of June pages, see how that turns out. Is there anything else? I don't think there's anything else really. Oh yeah, there's this stencil here that I use. Let me just bring you in a little bit. You know the die one with the clouds, so I use distress ink for that, so it gives like cloud, you know, cloud sort of appearance. So I used a little cloud die for that. Anything else? Worlds Within Worlds, I showed you that, which was this one. Now the other thing you could do is when you've got, maybe get you out a little bit, when you've put these in, what you could do is use, say, some sort of glitter paint, or even stickles, or you know, something like that, or loose glitter, and you could go over these bits, sort of just put your glitter on there so that you've got stenciled glitter parts to your page. That's another option, I guess. So there's that one, and then finally the Seasons one, which I showed you I think right at the beginning, where you add individual elements that might go with the theme of the page. And that's it really. I hope you found this video useful. You know, like I said, I'm no expert, but if you even found it a tiny bit helpful, then I'm happy. So thank you for watching my video. Until next time, take care, bye.